She's not what you'd expect. She's tough and feisty, but gentle and tender. She makes millions and gives millions to the poor. She cries, she laughs, she teaches, she comforts. This is the Dani Johnson Show.
Hi, welcome to the Dani Johnson Show. All of us here are really blessed that you decided to join us today, and we hope that this is not your last time checking out what happens here with the Dani Johnson Show. Today is going to be an awesome day for you. I don't know if you're kind of in that spot right now where, I don't know, you kind of need some fresh inspiration. You know, like sometimes we can just be going through life and things just seem to be, I don't know, you kind of get stuck. Things kind of get boring. Then, you know, you're looking at your debt that you feel like you're being choked out by. The marriage is like, you know, okay or less than okay. And maybe you're just sucking eggs at your job or your career or your business. It's kind of exactly where our first guest found himself. Now, you might have everything going awesome in your life, or you might not. You might be dazed and confused, or you might have complete clarity on your future and what you want to do with yourself. You might be that person that, well, is ready to just throw in the towel, and that you've just accepted the fact that you're a failure, and everyone around you has accepted the fact that you're a failure, and you just don't think there's anything you can do about it. Our guest today, Cameron Murdoch, from Fort Worth, Texas. He has definitely had some of those feelings, has struggled through a lot of stuff, but just recently had an incredible turnaround. And I am confident that today on the Dani Johnson Show, you're going to find, as you hear what he's going to share with you, not only you're going to be inspired by this young man, but you are also going to see that there are possibilities, that there are things that you can do to help improve your life, whether you're feeling like a failure as a father or as a provider, as a husband, or not. That you're just kind of in that place where you just want things to change. Right here, every single day, we are bringing you either guests or content that's going to help shift some things that are happening inside of your heart, shift some things that are happening inside of your mind so you can get yourself on a path that you actually desire to be on. Not the path that status quo wants you on, okay? Like there's this general consensus of what the definition of success is, and I think it's a bunch of hooey. It's total bogus, and it's the wrong people trying to sell it to people like you and me, that we then start chasing after things and stuff and accumulating crazy amounts of debt, thinking that's what success is all about. But right here every day, we are challenging that mindset and showing you that you can design the kind of life you want to live. You can live your life by design, or you can live it by default. You can determine what success looks like. To you, what is your personal definition of that? And that's exactly what Cameron and his wife decided to do. So Cameron, thank you so much for joining us today, all the way from Fort Worth, Texas. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. I am so excited to be a part of this. And I just want to thank you for all the dedication that you put into changing people's lives. And I mean, I know that this is a huge sacrifice that you do for your family. From the bottom of my heart, I want to thank you for what you've changed in my life and the life of my family.
Well, that is so sweet, and I received that. But the bottom line is that you, as the head of the household, needed to make the changes that need to be made, and you and your wife have put in the work to get the results you've got. So let's talk about where you were before you heard about DaniJohnson.com. What was going on in your life?
So I got back from fighting with the U.S. Army back in 2009, and I didn't have a whole lot of purpose, a whole lot of goals in my life. Wow. I was kind of going to school, but not really. I met my wife. We were dating, but we both were just kind of swamped in debt. And when we first got married, we began a push, and this is 5 years ago, to start paying off debt. After about 4 years of making absolutely no headway, and I was continuously losing jobs. I couldn't hold a job for more than 6 months. I felt like a failure as a father, a failure as a husband, and to top all that off, we were not paying off debt, but actually growing more. So we were just, it was fighting an uphill battle.
And it sounded like just a cycle of failure. You know,
It
like
was.
you said, I felt like a failure as a provider. I felt like a failure as a father. I mean, that's like deep. First of all, before we go any further, thank you so much for serving in the United States military. Thanks for making that sacrifice for all of us to maintain our freedom.
It was an honor to be able to do it. Thank you.
Yeah. How many years were you in the military?
I served for 6 years with the Oklahoma and Texas National Guards.
Wow.
As a military police officer.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wild. Okay, so you get done with that part of your life, and then you find yourself to be floundering. What was that like? What was that like to be floundering like that?
It was very difficult because I grew up with a very Beaver to Cleaver household. You know, I did well in high school. I was on that, you know, very suburban track of you go to high school, you go to college. And after I got out of high school, I spent about a year and a half learning that I didn't know what I wanted to do in college. Mm-hmm. After several other mistakes, I wound up in the military, which helped me kind of learn some discipline that I hadn't learned before.
Wait, hold on a second, Cameron. What do you mean, you know, some mistakes that then you found yourself in the military? What kind of mistakes are you talking about here, boy?
Well, there's a failed marriage in there somewhere. And just some other bad decisions in terms of choosing to party instead of go to class, choosing to sleep instead of go to class, choosing pretty much anything I could do instead of going to class. I think I found the problem.
And that's typically what happens when you don't know what you want to do with your life, right? We talk about at First Step Success that a man without a vision will perish. And when you don't have a vision for your life, you end up sleeping through class. You end up drinking instead of going to class. You end up in a crazy amount of debt. When there's no vision for your finances, no vision for who you are as a man, or again, if someone's listening and they're a woman, you know, if you have no vision for the marriage, you have no vision for your physical body. When you don't have a vision for these areas of your life, whatever area you don't have a vision, it's perishing. And so many people find themselves in that same exact place. So obviously you said it, like, man, I'm in college, I'm there for a year and a half, and I don't know what I want to be when I grow up. So many kids end up incurring about $35,000 in that first year. And then what? They don't know where they want to go. They know that the debt's piling up, and they have no idea what they want to do with themselves. So you're very similar. There's so many young people who are feeling that pressure. And again, so when I have the pressure, I want to sleep. When I have the pressure, I want to drink. When I have the pressure, I just want to party. I just want to forget about it all and hope that somehow it's going to work itself out. So you ended up entering the military. Mm-hmm. And so you had some college debts. You had already a failed marriage. It sounds like you were having a little too much fun with some alcohol.
Yes, I rectified that problem fairly quickly.
That's good.
Because I didn't have any money to buy more. So that really kind of, that problem solved itself.
That's good. That's really good.
So, and then once you got in the military, they wouldn't let you drink anyway. So it was kind of moot.
So the beer budget got dried up with no more cash is basically what happened. So you enter the military, you serve for 6 years, you're thriving in that place. But again, you get out, and again, it's a lack of vision. So how did you ever hear about DaniJohnson.com?
So it was actually my wife. She had heard it from her mother, and who'd heard it from someone else. Mm-hmm. And so I failed out of my most recent job, and we had moved to Fort Worth to escape some family issues that we weren't dealing with. We were just trying to escape. Mm-hmm. And my wife had found out about, she started reading Spirit Driven Wealth, mm-hmm. and started plugging into the spiritual equippings.
Really?
And she came to me back in October saying, hey, this is something we really need to check out. And I looked at her and I said, we are swamped in debt. Mm-hmm. We don't have time or money to go traipsing across the U.S. chasing some lady. I mean, I'm sure she's great, but you know, we got bills to pay, honey. I love you to pieces, but we got bills to pay.
So this is a year ago, October.
It's a year ago, October.
Wow.
And so instead of putting it down, she was the diligent one, because Proverbs 31 wife is the woman that's going to help raise her man and make him known at the gates. And that is definitely who my wife is.
Wow.
And I'm so grateful for her.
And she's industrious.
She was, she's amazing. So she stuck with it. And instead of trying to push me, she just started living it out. And I began to see the fruit in her life of what she was learning. And so when she came to me in February, she said, I really think we need to go to one of these events. And I said, you know what? We don't have the budget to go flying. I'll tell you what, if it's close, we'll drive. And I believe it was that weekend that you announced that the next first steps would be in Dallas. So it was kind of one of those moments where it's like, okay, God, I hear you. Heard ya. Got it.
And mind you, we had not been to Dallas in years.
And that was my stipulation, is I'll go next time she comes to Dallas. That weekend you announced. So it was a message heard loud and clear. It was, I believe it was Saturday evening, right at the end of that second session, where I ran up to the back of the room and signed us up for Dynasty and sat down. My wife, bless her little emerald heart, looked at me just completely shocked that we had already signed up to go to LA. So,
wow. So what's happened since last February in your life?
Last February. Well, first of all, our marriage got rockin' hot enough that we are expecting our second child, which was
Okay, hold on right there. Just that's a mouthful all in itself. Okay, so hold on. So wait. So I just love this. Okay, yeah, that's great, honey. I'm glad you heard about this woman, that talks about spiritual things from your mom. You guys go ahead, right? I mean, from that to then, holy moly, my marriage now is smoking hot. I'm sure you were not expecting.
Oh, not the slightest.
Not in the slightest way expecting that coming to an event that would actually do that to your marriage. Okay, hold on one second. When we continue, we're going to hear the rest of what's happened to Cameron. Again, we're talking about inside of 9 short months. Is it possible for your finances to turn around? Is it possible for you to pay off an obscene amount of debt in a very short period of time? Is it impossible for your marriage to become smoking hot instead of boring or average? You're about to find out. We'll continue with more right after this.
So why is Cameron's marriage suddenly so great? What did he do differently? Stay tuned and you'll learn how to do it too. This is the Dani Johnson Show. More resources, more training, more results. The DaniJohnson.com Insider Membership is your ultimate success shortcut. Get exclusive access to reports, videos, audios, ebooks, cheat sheets, and other training for your personal and professional life. This is truly DaniJohnson.com's best kept secret. Become an Insider member today and get on the fast track to success.
Imagine living in a decrepit, unsafe hovel made of waste material on top of old mining tunnels that could explode and sink your home at any moment. Imagine no water to drink, no safe place to raise your children, no food for your starving baby. Imagine that your kids can't learn to read because they have to work to support the family instead of going to school. Could you imagine living in that kind of fear and hopelessness? This is exactly what families are dealing with in the poverty-stricken village of Santa Pancha, Nicaragua. These families can barely meet their basic food, water, and housing needs. We are transforming that village. Be a part of this miracle. I want you to go to the website now and learn how you can help. Go to kingsransom.org and click on Santa Pancha. There you can join with other warriors against poverty and help bring a miraculous transformation to Santa Pancha. That's kingsransom.org, kingsransom.org.
Did you know you can take the Dani Johnson Show with you wherever you go? It's never been easier to stay up to date with the latest content from Dani with the DaniJohnson.com app. Watch or listen in the car, at the gym, or on the go. Download it now from the App Store and Google Play and never miss a show again. Your family, business, and bank account will thank you.
I just heard this amazing story. One of our clients had written us telling us that they had used job domination and unlimited success and has absolutely exploded their career. He said, Dani, I don't know where I'd be today without job domination and unlimited success. Listen, do you want more recognition from your coworkers? Do you want to be recommended to people all over the world? Do you want to be somebody that is highly sought after? Listen, if you're in a dead-end place where this gentleman found himself, but then learned new strategies and changed everything in his work life, and obviously this has resulted in higher bonuses and pay raises, you're next. 888-757-8880. Get your copy of Job Domination right now. 888-757-8880. Again, 888-757-8880. Job domination. That's what you need. It's time for you to dominate the job market and break through the rut that you're in.
What multimillionaire do you know that volunteers their time to help ordinary people like you and me? There's only one. This is the Dani Johnson Show.
Just imagine, your wife getting a call from your mother-in-law telling you about some strange woman that talks about spiritual things, and she found this woman on the internet. Right there, that's enough to raise your eyebrows and cross them a little bit and go, I don't think so. Well, that's exactly where Cameron found himself just a year ago, literally just a year ago. And yet he and his wife were smothered in debt. He'd already had a failed marriage. He'd been floundering, not being able to keep work. Every 6 months, finding himself having to pound the pavement to find a new job. His wife persisted, and she showed the fruit of what she was learning from a website called DaniJohnson.com. Started tapping in to some spiritual equipping of all things. Started reading a book and started to put it into practice instead of nagging at her husband like so many of us women do. Rather than nagging and going, you need to change this. I read in this book right here that you need to fix this, honey. I know what your problem is. That is not what his wife did. She truly was a woman of wisdom and began to demonstrate the things that she was learning free online. Watching the spiritual equipping show that happens once a week right here on the Dani Johnson Show, being able to watch any videos that were popping up and reading all the materials that she could get a hold of. But more important than doing that was putting it into practice. And that began the journey for both Cameron and his beautiful wife. So Cameron, you said you guys came to First Steps to Success 9 months ago.
That's correct.
And the first thing you said is, since then, my marriage has become smoking hot.
That might actually be an understatement, Dani. One of the biggest transformations that we had immediately after First Steps was that I finally understood her personality and how to communicate with her. And that was a tremendous breakthrough for us. Yeah. Being able to speak to her in her own language, being able to edify her in her own language. I remember the first night after learning that, when I paid her a compliment in her language instead of in mine, which was that was the only language I knew.
Yes.
And just, it was a simple compliment, just thanking her for the effort that she puts into keeping our family organized and on budget, and watching her entire face just melt right there. Yeah. I knew that I had unlocked something extremely powerful, and it has revolutionized how we relate to each other.
Yes. And so oftentimes couples struggle. It's not just couples. I mean, people struggle with their boss. They struggle with their children because simply they do not possess the communication skills that I think all of us should have learned in grade school, but we didn't. They didn't have a single class on communication skills, not a single class of understanding somebody else's personality and what motivates others. That's what makes First Steps to Success so powerful. And the portion of which we teach and trying to understand people better and how to motivate them, what makes them tick. kick. And so what an amazing thing that you learned this new tool, but you actually applied it, Cameron. Lots of people learn things, but they don't apply it. And that's what sets you apart from so many other people that are on the planet today, is that you are a husband who truly desired to improve. You are a husband that really desired to be able to meet your wife's needs in the way that she can receive the meeting of those needs versus going, hey, you need to learn how to communicate with me. That's not what you said. You learned how to communicate with her, and that unlocked something so powerful, which is a place of intimacy between you and her, which is, by the way, how a marriage becomes smoking hot. Smoking hot, no question. And so I'm so proud of you for actually doing that. And that's like something that you'll be able to impart into your own children. So here's the facts. The facts are that marriages today are a mess largely because we don't know how to communicate to each other. And we have an expectation of everyone changing. We want our spouse to change and customize their life towards us. Both husbands and wives do this. It's not only one or the other. It's both of us that do this. I've been sleeping with the same man for almost 27 years, which is a long time. And it took us a long time to be able to learn how each other thought and what was inside of each other's hearts. We spent so many years assuming what we thought the other person was thinking, assuming that we knew how the other person was feeling. And we would even say that to each other. I know how you feel about this. Gosh, and make accusations towards each other's character instead of learning to hear who each other really were. So it's a huge step that you did that, Cameron. When we return back, we're going to talk more with Cameron and about how the finances have changed as a direct result of new communication skills, new strategies that he embraced, but because the man is a doer. Because he's a doer, and so is his wife. They're not just hearers of information, they're doers of information, and that's why they've got the results they do. We'll continue with more right after this.
Don't go away. The next segment might just change your life. It's the Dani Johnson Show.
The whole story of how I went from homeless to millions is right here in this book, First Steps to Wealth. I'd love to give you a free copy of this book. Just dial 888-757-8880. You can get your free copy of this book. It's like a real book, my friend. You can get an ebook copy for free right now, or if you'd like to pay the shipping to get this $15 book to your house, I'd be happy to send it to you. 888-757-8880. Get your copy of First Steps to Wealth today and begin on a brand new path of some great success.
Did you know you can see Dani Johnson live and in person? Go to DaniJohnson.com and find out about our next live event. First Steps to Success. Register today. Call 866-760-8255 or go to DaniJohnson.com/FSTS.
You would think this would get easier. It doesn't. My name is Mia, and this is my awesome husband, Tony Gray. We're both from Maryland. Prior to plugging into DaniJohnson.com, we were beyond a mess. Probably an earthquake would be a better description. We were very young and married in high school. I was pregnant at 13. I was abandoned, abused, often turned to drugs and alcohol. And we just didn't know what to do. We knew how to put on a facade and come out before people. We worked long hours. He was never, ever home. And he was losing relationships with me and the kids. We were at the divorce attorney, ready just to quit. We didn't know a way out, and our debt, we just hung ourselves, it seems, every day, just going to work, spending, and then there was debt. We didn't know what to do. But after filing bankruptcy twice, you would think, well, you know what to do then. Well, we didn't. We kept making stupid decisions. And we were really just ready to quit. We were ready to give up. And we didn't see that there was any hope. I was actually depressed a whole lot. And since we got married so young, we wanted to be like the rest of our family and be divorced, because we were the only ones that were married for a long period of time. We lost several kids, but God blessed us with that. And after plugging in with DaniJohnson.com, life changed forevermore.
It's funny, I heard Dani say, talked about Donald Trump, and that was my way of life. He did it. He was a multi-millionaire. He filed bankruptcy multiple times, but I knew that wasn't the answer. I was working more hours, had a six-figure income, and found we were in more debt. But since plugging into war and debt, in 36 months, we paid off $126,000. To me, it's all about giving back. And my wife has the biggest heart that I know, so it was her mission to not only get the information for us, but to share it in our community. So we had hundreds of people come to classes, but we had 92 people take action. And of those 92 people, in 34 months, they paid off $3.6 million.
Our marriage has been fully restored. Our children are absolutely amazing. They all own their own businesses. We raise 6 amazing kids every single day. And I can't tell you, without the DJU curriculum, without all of the products, we came at the beginning and we were piecemealing it, but that didn't work for us. You know how Dani says when you get the recipe, you need to get all the ingredients and not try to figure out, should I get the egg, should I get the milk? You just get it all and you follow directions. We follow directions and our life has changed forevermore, and we won't go back, we're just going ahead. So without further ado, help us bring back to the stage America's favorite millionaire, Miss Dani Johnson.
So, what is success? A big house? A big title? A big fat paycheck? Dani Johnson has had them all, and you need to hear what she discovered when she had them. This is the Dani Johnson Show.
So what is your personal definition of success? Are you like so many of us that, you know, we heard the same old rap, you know, go to school, get a good education, and then keep going to school to get more education, and then you'll be successful. Once you land that great job, you'll be really, really successful. Hey, if you got a nice car, if you got a nice house, then you're successful, right? Yeah, but nobody ever talks about all the ones that cheat their way to go there, which is what? A crazy amount of debt, which only adds crazy amount of pressure, which then destroys your relationship with the person that you're sleeping with every single day. People are miserable in their beds at night. They're miserable in their jobs. They're miserable in their car. They're completely buried and suffocated underneath the pressure of what? Success? Nope. Debt. That's exactly where Cameron and his wife found themselves until First Steps to Success that they attended just 9 months ago. How did they hear about us? Same way you're hearing about us right this very minute. His mother-in-law, online, hears about spiritual equipping with Dani Johnson. Yeah, she starts participating, turns on her daughter to it. Daughter then demonstrates what she's learning, and her husband then says, all right, let's check this out. So Cameron, the marriage now is smoking hot, which I'm so excited. We just finished talking about communication skills. What's happened with your finances?
So we were struggling. We had credit card debt. We had student loan debt. We had car debt. We had a crazy car debt. We had been in one of those health product marketing companies that promises you a vehicle when you reach a certain status level.
Yeah.
And we went ahead and jumped on that vehicle way before we should have, and ended up having to trade in a 2013 BMW that we had shipped over from Germany in for a 2013 Civic.
Wow. That's a nice blow to the ego.
Yeah, it felt good. Felt real good. What felt even better than that was the fact that I was paying over $500 a month to drive the Civic. So that stung.
That's humbling.
So we had just this crazy car debt. We had credit cards that we just could not get in front of no matter what we did. And now, by the end of this year, we will be 100% in all fields debt-free.
What?
Yes. This year.
So in 11 months.
Well, technically, she started paying off everything in November of last year. So,
okay, so 1 year.
Yeah,
in 1 year.
13 months. Yes, we will have paid off over $75,000 of debt.
Wow. Cameron, how does that feel?
The word freedom just does not encompass it. It is a complete washing, and I can only liken it to that feeling that you get when you walk out of the ocean for the first time and you feel completely released and clean. And it's just that I can take on anything now. Everything that was holding me down is gone.
Wow. That almost sounds like a baptism.
It kind of does. You're not, to be freed like that, there's no way to describe it, Dani. There really isn't. It's just, it is very empowering. It's humbling. And I think what means the most to us is that we now know that the goals that we have for our children, for our family, the goals that we have on how we want to impact our community are now very achievable.
Yes. Yes. And the fact that you have goals.
Well, that was one of the other things that we've been working on this year is what does our outreach look like? We started, right now we're working as missionaries in our apartment complex, reaching out to the apartment communities, because we found out that about 80% of most apartment communities have never been to and do not currently attend church.
Wow.
And so we figured this would be a great place for us to kind of start our missionary life.
Yep. Man, so paid off $75,000 worth of debt. What's happened to your income from applying the skills that you've learned at First Steps to Success in creating a dynasty?
So shortly after First Steps, I learned that I needed to improve some of my skills. So I began working on that, and I took that to my employer and immediately got a raise. I continued on that track and realized that the skill sets that I was utilizing were diverging from that company's interests, and I was able to interview with the company where I'm at now for an offer that doubled my salary.
Wow. So you've doubled your income.
I have.
What did you do to do that?
I pressed play, honestly.
What do you mean?
So I went to an event in May, and you and I spoke, and you gave me some very good tips on and pointed me to one of the pieces of your content that I dug into and learned how to be an employepreneur, learned how to invest in the company and not seek the company to invest in me. Yep. And through those practices and through all the other tips that you shared on how to honor your employer and honor their company, that's where I learned the skills that enabled me to get this new position.
Wow. So that was job domination.
It was.
Yep, job domination. So currently today, what are you doing that has brought so much value to your employer, which, by the way, is completely biblical? That's absolutely biblical in every way. So because you're using principles that are time-tested and strategies that have worked since the beginning of time, you're implementing those things, you're obviously getting blessed in ways that I don't think you ever thought was. I mean, did you ever think it was possible to double your income?
No, matter of fact, I was struggling with the thought that I would never be able to make over $50,000. And so being that I've far surpassed that in a single year, wow, it completely blew my mind.
Wow. Okay, so here's a question for you.
Okay.
So if somebody would have told you a year ago when your wife first came to you about attending First Steps to Success, and she told you, honey, you're going to double your income once you attend this event, and honey, within a year, we're going to be completely debt-free, having all $75,000 worth of debt completely gone if you attend this event. What would you have told her?
Matter of fact, I'll tell you what I did tell her. She didn't use those exact words, but she phrased it very similarly. And I believe my words were, honey, I love you, but can we just not talk about Dani? Can I not have Dani in my bed tonight? Which I am so incredibly grateful, but Dani, you're still not welcome in my bed.
Absolutely not. Okay, so listen, this is crazy. This is what was on the other side of you attending your first Steps. Was a doubling of your salary, $75,000 worth of debt being completely paid off, and your marriage.
Not just my marriage, family relationships too.
Really?
There were several relationships that were very strained because we didn't know how to communicate with all these various personality types. And we didn't know how to honor those people. We didn't know how to hear what they were saying in a non-offensive way. And so learning those skills, it made all the difference.
Man. Okay, and so now you've got another baby on the way.
We do. It's our miracle baby.
Tell me about that.
So this was a very frightening story. We learned at Hot Marriage Secrets that we were pregnant. About a week after we got home, Kelsey had an incident that led us to believe that she had miscarried. We had it confirmed with a physician, and they ran some tests. About a week later, they called her back in saying, we need to reevaluate something. Something doesn't look right. We were already about 10 days into the conception that we had miscarried.
Wow.
So they had to run the test, and they had a sonographer do a sonogram. And at the end of the sonogram, the sonographer handed her a picture of our little baby, telling her that the heartbeat's perfect and she's good to go.
Wow.
This is, we were told that this is something that happens in about 1% of miscarriages. There's a term for it, and it's medical, and I don't know it, other than it's a miracle.
Wow. Man, Cameron, congratulations. Obviously, you and your wife have had an amazing transformation. I think that your wife sets such an awesome example for any women that are listening to the show right now, that so often we nag instead of encourage and buoy up and believe in our spouses, but instead we rather nag and point out what they need to change. And your wife really allowed what she was learning to be worked in her life and set that example. And I'm just really proud of you as the husband, the humble man that you are. Congratulations on doubling your income, paying off $75,000 worth of debt, and having that smoking hot marriage and another baby on the way. Thanks so much for joining us today. We appreciate you. All right, God bless. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more after this.
Do you hate your boss? When we come back, find out how Chelsea went from being afraid of her boss to, well, you just have to hear what happened. Next on The Dani Johnson Show.
This is your chance. This is your shot. Get your copy of War on Debt right now. There's one waiting for you that has your family's name on it. And inside that package is freedom. Your freedom, your family's freedom is on the inside of that package. All you have to do is open it up, press play, and start applying what I teach you in this program. 888-757-8880. You and I are going to help your family become completely debt-free in the next 5 to 7 years. Just imagine how that's going to feel.
Did you know you can see Dani Johnson live and in person? Go to DaniJohnson.com and find out about our next live event. First Steps to Success. Register today. Call 866-760-8255 or go to DaniJohnson.com/FSTS.
Prior to plugging into DaniJohnson.com, I was working 60 to 75 hours a week. I was completely stressed out. I was incredibly angry with my husband. We were in over $350,000 worth of debt. By applying the strategies that Dani teaches, in the last 3.5 years, we have paid off $170,000 in debt. We are no longer roommates, and we no longer spend every single cent that we make. We now have made tens of thousands of dollars in passive income in investments. We are on the right track. We're traveling around the world together, and we are building homes for those who really need it. So I don't know about you, but if you want to cut back from 60 to 20 and 30 hours a week, if you want to mend some relationships, if you want to make your life more efficient and a lot more fun, and you want to be the best version of you, I highly recommend that you get registered, because your life is about to change.
Prior to plugging into DaniJohnson.com, First Steps to Success in Creating Dynasty, my wife and I were really lost. We were struggling in a relationship. We were struggling financially, drowning in debt. Our relationship was really broken. We were in a bad place. We were living in two completely different states and not really honoring each other. Once we got plugged into the community, we noticed a shift in our lives. Most importantly, we came together as a husband and wife. That was the first thing we did. And when we finally came together under the same roof, things started to change. Over the past 3 years, we've been able to pay off over $495,000 in debt. I know in my business, I've had a job created for me that increased my income by 50%. That has actually opened up the door to allow my wife and I to spend more time with each other. So I don't know where you are. I don't know if your relationship is super awesome. I don't know if your job is immaculate. I don't know if you're debt-free. But what I do know is if you're not any one of those things, your next step is to get plugged into DaniJohnson.com, go on the website, get plugged into the community. I promise you, your life will never be the same.
And prior to plugging into DaniJohnson.com, I was a broke college student, drowning in debt, and I felt like the world was crashing all around me, and I had bad relationships. Since plugging into DaniJohnson.com and First Steps to Success, I was able to pay off $6,600 in 4 months. Now I'm able to give 10% of my income to wherever my heart desires. I actually, using the skills that I learned from Dani, I actually landed a job before I graduated college. And I'm able to travel the world. All I know is if you're serious about annihilating your debt, traveling the world, helping people, and having fun doing so, I highly recommend you get registered for the next First Steps to Success. Do it now, don't wait, don't even thinking about it. If you're ready to change your life, just do it.
We went to our first ever First Steps to Success just 10 weeks ago, and it has definitely been life-changing ever since.
We felt like we got hit by a 2x4, but it was the best 2x4 because what we realized is that our priorities were clearly out of line. I had been building a home-based business and had been working 80 to 100 hours, and I realized that that is not my role and that I had actually taken my husband's, and it was that realization that something had to change, and we immediately went home and changed everything. There was no hesitation. We said, you know what, we need to be obedient to God.
And we've implemented the tools day one. We started implementing what Dani taught us, invested in ourselves, invested in our kids, got our priorities in line. We've now actually paid off just not quite $60,000 in debt and looking at a couple more investments here as head of the household.
It's been absolutely incredible. So I just encourage you, if any of this speaks to you, if you're wanting to get out of debt, if you're wanting better communication, if you're wanting to elevate to the higher level of life, get to First Steps to Success and plug into DaniJohnson.com.
Change your habits, change your future. And now, back to the Dani Johnson Show.
So have you ever been in that situation where you show up to work every day, like walking on eggshells, you know, like scared that you're just going to get canned? You're going to have your desk handed to you or a box with all your junk in it because you just feel like you're constantly failing at work. That's exactly where Chelsea was. Today, the job market is incredibly competitive. And a lot of people are walking around with fear every day, wondering whether or not they're going to have a paycheck at the end of that week. Chelsea, thanks so much for joining us. Welcome to the show. Yes.
Thank you for having me.
Yes.
It's an honor.
Well, I got to tell you, all of us here love you. You have been such a faithful client and friend of so many people inside of the community. And I was really, really excited that we could get you on the show today. So tell us your story. What has changed in your life since you've been tapping into this community at DaniJohnson.com?
I guess, where do I start? It's so strange, but I guess prior to plugging into DaniJohnson.com, I was trying so hard to follow my boss's directions. Like I was hitting my head against a brick wall. I was crying every day. I thought I was going to be fired from my job. And it just seemed like no matter what I did, I was always wrong. There was something always wrong. Everything I tried just never seemed to work. And it seemed to be common to be miserable in your job. Everyone was miserable. No one likes their boss. No one likes their supervisor. You're just going into pushing the clock 9 to 5. And after I started plugging in to First Steps to Success, Job Domination, and a couple other training materials, within 6 months, I went from crying every day to I was offered a promotion. I was offered a raise 3% higher, their top tier. And when I did leave the company, the CEO actually even asked me what they could do to keep me.
So you obviously weren't afraid anymore. What specifically did you apply from Job Domination and First Steps to Success?
There was just a couple little skills that may seem so elementary for some people or so simple. I think that's the key. I think it was like mainly 3 simple strategies that I applied that completely revolutionized everything, which you think wouldn't make a difference. Yep. But when you realize no one else is doing them, it's so easy to stand out against the crowd. You know, you don't have, I used to think that there was that only certain people are supposed to be successful, right? Mm-hmm. Or only certain people, they were born that way. You know, they have that special sauce that some of us are missing. And I'd get so frustrated. And I'd say, why am I going to try if I'm not going to make it anyways? So it's too easy. I think that's the problem.
Okay, so give me one. Let's help someone that's listening right now, because there's somebody right now that's heading to work and they're terrified. Right? They're walking in, they're afraid of their boss, they're walking on eggshells, they just feel like they're failing, they feel like they're always in trouble. They're in that same exact place. So just give me one thing that you learned from Job Domination and First Steps to Success that could make a difference in someone's job today.
There is a strategy that you have, it's called Form. Mm-hmm. So this one little strategy of how to communicate with people to following this simple. This one little strategy of asking these certain questions, because most people don't ask their boss these questions, don't ask their supervisor or their colleagues these questions. So asking these people these one questions based on this acronym completely changed everything.
So basically, Form gets someone to talk about their family. O stands for occupation, R stands for recreation, and then M is a message that you would want to give somebody, but only after you get somebody else talking about themselves. So you actually went and you got your boss to talk about his personal life.
Mm-hmm. I'd actually made a goal, and this was, I guess, another little tidbit if you're going to work right now. Mm-hmm. Great Form, but where do I even start? Of pick one person a day. I would pick one person a day that I would form, or even make it even simpler. Just one person a day to encourage. Mm-hmm. So I would go to my little notebook at my desk. I'd write down, okay, who am I going to talk to today? Like, so you're walking, when you're walking in your office and then that one person passed by who's not in your department and you never see them. Right. Or like, it's awkward. You kind of smile, but you're not really sure. So you got like, you pull out your phone or just something dumb. Right. Or like, we all do this, right? Or you're in the break room, you're getting water. Like, this is so awkward. Who is this dude? What department are you in? So I would say, okay, I'm going to the break room today and I'm going to talk to this one person. I'm asking about their family, how they got started in their work. And sometimes I wouldn't even get that far. It would be fine. But I'd go back to my desk and say, woo, one person. And it was so simple, but I didn't realize the impact it was making in my job.
So how did that actually get you promoted? Talking to other coworkers in the office? Because someone that's driving to the office right now, they're like, why would I even want to engage in a conversation with anybody that I work with, especially people in other departments? Like, what will that do for me? What did it do for you?
It grew my influence in the office. So, and I worked in human resources, which most people hate human resources. And you might be working in marketing or sales, and everyone loves the marketing people. But in human resources and IT, everyone avoids the department because you're like, dang, I'm going to get in trouble if I say something wrong. So people would actually want to come to me and bypass my supervisor and boss because I was able to develop a relationship with them. So they would come to me and they would get their work done because I'm forming them and we're having genuine conversation. They'd actually do what they needed to do easily versus me prying and begging them. Did you fill out this form yet? Did you do this? Like, we all those people in work that we need them to do something, but they don't always do it. It's like gouging your eyes out to complete this task. And they would do it because we got along. And we had completely separate personalities. That's the thing. Has nothing to do with my personality. Most of them are opposite my personality. So it's not a personality factor at all.
So it was a relationship key. So building relationships actually caused people to want to follow the directions that you were required to give them.
Right. How cool is that?
No, that's pretty awesome. Because again, who wants to fill out that form anyway? Nobody. Nobody wants to fill out that form, right? So when you've got the boring job that everyone else wants to avoid you, like you're in that department that no one wants to talk to, and you're just adding another thing on someone's list that they got too much on their list already. So you found just that one communication skill of getting your coworkers to talk about themselves, engaging in personal conversation with them in the break room, at the water bin, whatever you want to call that, the water cooler, right? The watering hole, exactly. So you set a goal every day to get to know everybody on the staff. And so you're saying that increased your influence, and along with your influence increasing, you end up getting a raise. How? Why did they give you a raise for you increasing your influence?
Because I wasn't just like everyone else who just came in at 8:30 and left at 5:30 and just did what they needed to do, like jumping on Facebook, jumping on just doing personal tasks. Or another thing too, which this is specifically from Job Domination. And the training is so good, and it's so inexpensive for the results that you get. Yeah. It's stupid. It's so stupid. So that's why, again, it's so easy that some people might think it's not that easy. No, it actually really is.
It really is. Yeah.
And it's insane. But this, just growing my influence in the office, they saw me like, wow, she's just not another 9-to-5er. She actually cares about the organization. And now as a business owner, I see that. I see people, wow, you care about and believe in what we're doing. Are you kidding me? I'm going to promote you. I'm going to hire. What else can you do for the company? So it's being an advocate, and you think it's simple and it's stupid or dumb, or again, I don't even care about these people.
Or that it's not going to benefit you. You think that it's not going to benefit you by using those kind of communications in the workforce, but it does, because you actually influence the whole environment, and that has higher value in the marketplace. This is Dani Johnson. Chelsea, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing that tip. I think it's really important, and people have more control over their income than what they think. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more right after this.
Be sure to tell a friend about the Dani Johnson Show. It just might be the key to the breakthrough they need. Did you know you can take the Dani Johnson Show with you wherever you go? It's never been easier to stay up to date with the latest content from Dani with the DaniJohnson.com app. Watch or listen in the car, at the gym, or on the go. Download it now from the App Store and Google Play and never miss a show again. Your family, business, and bank account will thank you.
Imagine living in a decrepit, unsafe hovel made of waste material on top of old mining tunnels that could explode and sink your home at any moment. Imagine no water to drink, no safe place to raise your children, no food for your starving baby. Imagine that your kids can't learn to read because they have to work to support the family instead of going to school. Could you imagine living in that kind of fear and hopelessness? This is exactly what families are dealing with in the poverty-stricken village of Santa Pancha, Nicaragua. These families can barely meet their basic food, water, and housing needs. We are transforming that village. Be a part of this miracle. I want you to go to the website now and learn how you can help. Go to kingsransom.org and click on Santa Pancha. There you can join with other warriors against poverty and help bring a miraculous transformation to Santa Pancha. That's kingsransom.org, kingsransom.org.
Put the Dani Johnson Show to work for you by advertising your product or service. The Dani Johnson Show has tens of thousands of listeners who are just like you. People who need what you're offering but just don't know it yet. Savvy business owners and marketing directors advertise on The Dani Johnson Show. To promote your products and services on The Dani Johnson Show, email John at DaniJohnson.com or call 866-760-8255.
Hi, I'm Dani Johnson. The most common question I get usually are from people who are trying to juggle their life. They've got kids who are involved in all kinds of activities. They've got business or their job, finances, trying to get out of debt, plus all their church activities and all the volunteer activities, and they're pulling their hair out going, how do I juggle this all? Man, I once lived just like that until I learned Time Secrets. Time Secrets showed me how to be able to cut my hours from 100 hours a week that I was working down to 20 hours a week and tripled my income as a direct result with what I learned. Time Secrets also showed me how to get my priorities in order, which healed up my marriage. And I became a mother that I was proud of versus becoming the mother I didn't want to be. And so if you feel like your world is running around in all kinds of different circles, you can fix that. Call 888-757-8880. Again, 888-757-8880 for Time Secrets.
If you knew you couldn't fail, what would you do with your life? Discover your own answer. This is The Dani Johnson Show.
So there you have it. You might have thought when today's show started that you had no control over your income and therefore no control over your future. Now you just learned from two people who dramatically changed their income and dramatically changed their lives because they applied. They didn't just learn something new. They didn't just buy a training program called Job Domination and bought a ticket into First Steps to Success. They actually applied the information that they learned. Little by little, day by day, they increased their value in the marketplace. And as a business owner who has employed people for now 29 years, what I can tell you is that I am always looking for who wants to grow the business right alongside with us. Now, you probably already know this, but see, every dollar, every profit that comes into DaniJohnson.com, which is Destiny Global for our company, after the team is paid their bonuses and Uncle Sam is given all his extra taxes, the profits go to taking care of the poor. I don't take a salary. The salary, literally, the check once a year is written off, signed over to kingsransom.org. That's who gets the money. I'm not being paid for any of it, but I'm always looking for somebody that wants to help grow the organization, somebody that actually cares about the employees that are here. So you just heard that that's what these two people learned, and they applied that, and they made themselves more valuable. We're always looking for people that are going beyond just what they're doing from a technical aspect of their actual job or their job description, but somebody that actually is investing even to learning new skills and developing themselves and developing other people that are around. So I hope that today was beneficial to you, especially if you were driving to work and you're listening to this on the radio, that maybe you could apply any one of the things that you heard today in the workplace, and let's just see how it works out. I hope that you will write me and let me know when you do get that raise or when you do get that bonus. Look at Chelsea getting a 10% increase in her pay, which was 3% higher than the people that were above her. That's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. So bottom line, if you want to pay off $75,000 worth of debt inside of 12 months, if you want to be able to double your income like Cameron did, then you got to do what these guys have done. Listen, this book right here, First Steps to Wealth, if you do not have a copy, and this is your very first time watching this show, I would like to give this copy to you right now. First Steps to Wealth, you pay the shipping to get it to your house. I will cover the $15 book. Fair? Let us make an investment into you. You make the investment into the shipping and handling costs to get it to you. Don't only read it, apply it. Utilize the techniques that are in here. Employeepreneur, which you heard Cameron and Chelsea both talk about. There's 2 chapters on that inside of this book. So take it, learn from it, apply it, and change your financial destiny. And you can start today. So if you go to DaniJohnson.com, you can find the book right there, or call our office right now, 866-760-8255. Again, 866-760-8255. That's it for us today. Join us tomorrow here on The Dani Johnson Show. God bless.
If this episode was an encouragement to you, go to DaniJohnson.com and share it with your friends now. You never know who else needs to hear it. This has been The Dani Johnson Show. Join us every weekday at 7 a.m. for more insights that will help you get to the life you've always wanted.